I'm in New York at Brian's £30,000 ad spend mastermind, and in this video I'm going to share with you the lessons that I've taken away from this mastermind that you can use directly in your property deal sourcing business. Takeaway number one is sales and marketing. Every business, deal sourcing definitely included, is all about sales and marketing. If you do not know how to attract clients in and then sell them, or know how to sell a vendor or an agent on buying the property from them, you're going to get nowhere in business. So this is why I join these masterminds. Even though these are not direct property masterminds, the lessons I learned from the sales and marketing from these is absolutely ginormous. The takeaway number two is masterminds and environment. So Brian, the host of this mastermind, was working for a guy called Dean Graziosi. He works with a guy called Tony Robbins. If you've not heard of those, they're absolutely massive business guys. Dean Graziosi was a property guy initially. And when Brian was working for him, helping him grow his business via running his YouTube ads for him, the big thing he used to tell Brian all the time was masterminds key to my success. And Brian, I think he shared it earlier on, he spent around 300,000, I think it is, on joining masterminds. That message is rung true for me for a while, hence why I'm in this room now. Environments dictate results. You've got to be in the right environments. You've got to be around the right energy, around the right people. Different things happen to different points of view in your journey, and being in them environments. So Brian's mastermind is very much like my program, where we have online calls. I get one-to-one access with them, and I also get to come to these events in person, very much like mine. People can have the weekly calls on in a group, and being in an environment, other people doing very similar things to you, really does drive you forward. Takeaway number three. So of course I'm at an ad spend mastermind, so it's definitely going to be ads, but ads with AI. So there's a lot of talk around automation and AI automation, and Brian demonstrated an example where he took out, I think it was 20K's worth of reoccurring fees by using AI automation. And it was actually from the last mastermind event, this actual mastermind, the last one I was at, where one of the guys is in Europe with estate agents, and they set up the direct to vendor adverts for them. So being in that room and seeing how they're set up. So we use Go High Level, we use an AI chatbot, Facebook ads for direct targeting. This is working really well. So a job that would have been heavy labor intensive is highly automated, and using Facebook ads. And this can be also used for nurturing your investor leads. But when you use ads, the important thing is, especially more so if you're trying to get investors, it's the overall marketing systems and ecosystem. Just sending ads on their own is not always just enough. You need a personal brand to go with it, because people will search you, because trust is the biggest commodity today, which is diminishing. You need the emails, the follow-ups. You need the whole ecosystem in place to be working alongside the ads. Otherwise the ads are going to cost too much money for you to run. So takeaway number four is expectation management. So Brian and a lot of people in the mastermind was talking about client expectation, just managing them from the start clearly, and how this transfers across to property, especially working with investors. So a guy called Jamie in the program, he has been part of my program, is you can pitch your deals to my investors, and he's been on a call with a handful of investors, and a few of them could have signed up to what we call a VIP client. A VIP client is somebody that pays you a fee and you go out and source for them specifically. In the program, the big win is not necessarily selling the deal straight away, but it's getting the repetitions in of the calls and getting the feedback from me and the training and the practice of that. And what he was getting a bottleneck was, a lot of these investors was asking for all money out deals. Because I give you one-to-one access with my one-to-ones with him, I was like, look, you have to manage the expectations from the start. So when somebody says, I want pretty much all money out of a deal, sometimes you use a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke around it and say, hey, yeah, I want a six-pack, but I don't want to give up eating my favorite food. It's not really realistic. What we do is these sorts of deals, if you're interested, great. And a lot of them you will nurture anyway. But it's managing the expectation from the start, rather than taking the money off of somebody, promising something that is unrealistic to deliver on. So expectation management is massive. Takeaway number five is don't be afraid to work for free. So how this adapts to property is, so many people get into especially deal sourcing and want to charge large fees straight away, and most of the time you're just not in a position to be able to do that. Brian, the guy that hosted this, he talked about how he works with some massive big players for free at the start to get the social proof, to get the testimonials, and that is what gave him the momentum. And he met them three people to work for in masterminds and networking events. And the thing with deal sourcing is, of course, you can sell deals for around 5K 5k per deal. And everybody thinks, okay, let's jump in. But why do people think somebody should pay a newbie 5k when there's somebody experienced that's ironed out loads of little teething problems that charges the same price? Working for free when you get started. I've done this many times in my journey as well, where I've worked for people for free to get the social proof, to get the understanding, to get the testimonials and the credibility. Brian talked about having collaborations with other people and how this works in the property world, and especially deal sourcing, is finding other deal sources you can collab with, like co-sourcing. And ultimately, most credible sources are busy. So if you just DM them saying, hey, can I co-source with you? In most cases, the answer will probably be no. But if you go and find some really, really good deals, analyze them, put them into a deal pack, start networking with that person, engage with them online, and then send them that deal and say, hey, I can't sell this deal. I know you've got a list. Don't want nothing from it. All I want is to be able to network with you and build a relationship with you. If they sell that deal, even they don't sell that deal, that will build a good relationship with them. And you do that once or twice, then ultimately you then get in with them. You then get the social proof. You can then document what you've done. Even if you give that deal to them for free, you can still document it and say you've sourced the deal, and it's worth a hell of a lot more. So don't be afraid to work free, and don't be afraid to work for free with collaborations with people with co-sourcing. And the final takeaway is to take action. Look, you can read books, you can study all you like, you can learn and try and get prepared and ready, but the best learning is from the actual doing and getting a foundation knowledge of stuff, then doing it, getting a feedback loop of what you're doing, and just taking massive amounts of action. So if you're ready to take action and find your first deal, have a watch of this video here.